Hello and good evening. I want to welcome you into another episode of Stealing Immortality. That is the old ways, our Twitch site, our Twitch channels, Dark Ages Vampire Tale. I am your storyteller this evening, Michael Damon. My pronouns are he, him, and I am here with my trio of ghoulies, although they're not a trio of ghoulies anymore because Shock 1 has been transformed, which we'll get to in a second. At the top of the show, I want to do a couple of things. One, I want to thank you, the viewer, and those of you who subscribe to us on Twitch here, and some of you who are also our Patreon supporters. You do an amazing amount of support, and we greatly appreciate your listening ears and now your viewing eyes. And two, and also just as importantly, I want to remind you at the top of the show that this is a mature show. It is meant for adults and not meant for kids. And so if your kids are listening and are watching, have them do something else because things are going to get interesting tonight. As it is the world of darkness, there are a slew of potential content warnings, not including gore and violence and potential mind control and loss of agency. There's all sorts of things that could come out of the grab bag tonight. And so we want you to be as safe as possible. My players and I understand where our lines are. We won't cross any of them, but we will have maximum game fun. And so now I'm going to let the players introduce themselves. I will do so as they go in introduction order.
Me first. I never remember. Like, oh, I bet it's me. Hi, I'm Morgan. I'm playing Genevieve de Montfort. Our pronouns are she, her. And I'm a ghoul that was part of Clan Ventru, and now I'm part of Clan Lasombra. You know, things happened.
Yeah.
So I'm also a cast member on the Old Ways podcast, and you can generally find me on the Discord server in a variety of games like RuneQuest, Children of the Periphery, Old Gods of Appalachia, yep, and all sorts of other stuff. So
yeah, like, 7 seasons of Masks of Neuralphatep.
Oh yeah, 7 seasons of Masks of Neuralphatep.
Right.
I played Lillian Lane.
You did.
She's amazing. But sorry.
That's okay.
Onwards and upwards.
I agree. Yeah, we'll see how the new outfit fits tonight. You were plucked by another clan last episode, and they believe that they have the right resource for their foray into deeper Constantinople politics. So we'll see how that works out for Genevieve. Next.
Hello, I'm Bunny. I'm playing the Toreador new vampire. I don't have to say ghoul this time. Woo! Emerenzia, and our pronouns are she, her. And I'm just so excited to have shared the end of the last day I had to deal with as any kind of mortal, any level of mortal, with my Dama recently because it was perfect and a little scary, which also made it a little more perfect. And I'm a cast member of the Old Ways in a bunch of different games. I've gotten to be part of like 7 different stories that I've gotten to help tell now. So I'm not going to list them all, but I think I still love taunting Dante the most.
Yeah, and you aired this week the aforementioned taunting of Dante and the mages. His singing episode arrived Monday. Yes, absolutely. I think the if you haven't had a chance to catch up on Stealing Immortality yet, I do recommend you do so you can get to see a decadent and delicious bath scene that took place last episode. I think we all enjoyed it. So, last but most certainly not least.
Hi, I'm Allie, and I am playing Ophelia Sellos, the Bruja of the group, or soon-to-be Bruja. My clan with, like my sire dying or something tragic, but we're not gonna dwell on that too long. And I am a cast member, and the things that are airing currently that you'll have most likely heard me in are Mage, The Ascension, and the Delta Green Dead Letter on the podcast itself. So you can find me on the Discord.
You bet. A trio of veteran players that we get to examine their work in Constantinople now. So when last we left our trio, they were sort of all in different locations doing different things. What I'm just going to say here as we lift the curtain tonight is that a little time has passed. I won't give too definitive of a time period on it, but I will say for some of them, a little time has passed. A few days, perhaps, perhaps more. The ratio of days isn't necessarily super important, except to one of you, and I'll be getting to her last. That is our resident fresh vampire. She has to go through some things first. But where I want to start is with Ophelia. So, Ophelia, your sire has taken a little time in repairing his haven. The Latin Quarter, very famously now, was in effect put to the sword. Many people, both mortal and kindred alike, were killed. In fact, as you are hearing it in the echoes of the days that pass, it seems that almost every kindred in the Latin Quarter was eliminated. You're not sure by whom or why, but the Senate, which you attend nearby anyway with your sire, the Bruja Senate has been roiling with anger. The voices have never been louder when you have accompanied your sire to this forum that hears the social gnashing of teeth and the philosophical musings of Bruja who enjoy speaking about law and its potential uses. But the clan as a whole is furious with what's been allowed to go on. And it's at one of these meetings soon thereafter, you overhear a few things that pique your interest. One is that your sire and some of the other clan members are earnestly seeking the authority to create new children. As they see what has been done to the Lexor Bruja and some of the other Latin Quarter Bruja as a sort of affront to thin their ranks versus the Antonian venture. Whoa. Did I lose you guys? Still there?
Still here.
Okay.
Like you froze for a second.
Yeah, I see that. Okay, we're good. We're good. So it comes as no surprise soon thereafter that your sire draws you back to the haven. And as he draws you back to the haven, he does so with some purpose. And he begins laying out for you a series of documents. And he is very carefully showing you these documents, making sure that you understand what you're reading. And it's clan history. And it's seemingly very important to him that you understand it. And so as you review it, you begin to hear a recounting of a tale, one that starts far before Rome, one that starts in a city across the sea from Rome, one that became a powerful challenge to Rome itself, and that's Carthage. And you hear a tale you've never heard before. You hear a tale of the people of Carthage, the common everyday mortal who had somehow, through a series of long-standing deals, become open, at least to the understanding, that there were creatures that were above them, that had the ability to rule, but wanted to work with humans. There was a parting of that veil of understanding. What's going on? You still got me?
Yep, you're still there.
Okay. Yeah. Not sure what's going on with the internet tonight. So sorry, folks. We'll hopefully it'll be okay. If not, we'll find out. But the history for Kalia seems very important. And what you read eventually is sort of his lineage. You learn about him and how his sire and his sire's sire and so on and so forth, how they go back to Carthage and where they come from and why Carthage is so important to him. You read about portions of his extended clan family that came from that second city, that doomed city. Because when Rome decided that it would attack and that it would bring to heel the kindred of Carthage, they did so with salt and fire. And you read stories of not just death and war. Stories of death and war are very common. People know they're all too familiar with that. But you read things like they salted the earth outside of Carthage so that vampires could not utilize the earth as a shelter. And they did so because, at least the Bruja believe, in part, they did so because the Clan Ventru, told them how to kill vampires, how to go after them, how to hunt them. And it's this deep and sort of abiding hatred that still sits within parts of the clan very deeply. And after this musing, he looks at you and says, "Do you understand why I'm showing you this?"
Well, this is the history that I need to understand if I'm going to be part of the clan, right?
It's important that you understand that when you enter into the clan, it is not simply as another employment. It goes beyond the simple family bonds that you once had. It goes beyond our bond. The clan is why we fight. And while I may choose to suffer the rulership in this city of a non-Bruja, I do so only because I believe the city can be more than it is. But I will not suffer the injustices of what happened. We are not cattle to be left to slaughter. There must be an accounting. You will bear witness to this accounting.
Yes, Master Tukas.
Now, take the hour, commit the names to memory, and come and see me in my chambers. He walks away. I'll move camera. So, Genevieve, the last couple of days under the tutelage, I think that's the best word to use, of Isabella has been enlightening. She's meant every word that she says. She truly does think that you are talented and were worth saving. She is matronly to a point. She is reasonably fair. You are, I assume anyway, an apt student. You get to know a lot of new people, a lot of new kindred. You realize that this church is harboring probably twice the number of Clan Lasombra that you thought were in the city. Many of them cling to shadows in the underground spaces beneath the church. It sort of probably mystifies you a little bit. You're not used to watching shadows move back and forth of their own volition. You can imagine what your former master might say, or really all of Clan Venture, if they had any idea how many Clan Lasombra members there are here. They'd probably be very concerned. I wonder, when you adjust to those first few nights under a new sire, a new master, would you do anything for them that would be, we'll say, out of the ordinary? Would you take any liberties? Would you try to go the extra mile? What does service to Genevieve really mean?
I would probably help Isabella, dress for bed, wash her, make sure that she knows that, I, belong to her in Clan Lasombra. So things I might have done in the beginning for whatever his name was, because apparently I've forgotten his name.
Yeah. Did Morgan the player forget, or do you think that Genevieve
Oh no, I
forgot his
know,
name?
I
Okay.
know.
I was
I
like,
know who
wow,
it is.
that's pretty effective.
Antonio.
Yes.
Antonio. But
Antonio.
he's like, it's nagging in the back of my brain. I feel like I've done this before for somebody,
Mhm.
but I can't remember who. So somebody I cared about. So I take that extra time and, wash her with cloth and sponge and massage her feet with oils, all the things.
Yes, you likely play the part as best you know. You learn also too that Casilda is part of your, we'll just say, weight, and so Casilda is also someone that you assist, although she's a little bit more independent, it feels like, than Isabella. She's not interested in being bathed. You can certainly help her get dressed. You get the feeling that Casilda might have a little martial experience in her life. She doesn't move like a lady of court, not like Isabella. Casilda moves a little bit more like someone who's probably done a little swordplay in her life. She's very comfortable, although she wears, seemingly, feminine gowns and whatnot, and those types of things. She has a very a calm but yet somewhat masculine feel to her. Whereas Isabella is 100% taking in every ounce of extra pampering that you will provide her. And while she doesn't necessarily make you pay for being a new recruit, there are things that she asks you to sort of redouble your efforts on. You could do a better job here. She gives you constructive criticism, although there is a sharpness in some of her tone. You learn a little bit about the clan and their connection to the shadows. It's something that you've likely seen perhaps at certain court events, but seeing it here in person in these church walls is something totally different. Like when you bathe Isabella, her bath is shrouded in shadow. And when you put your hand into the water to like rinse and to get the rag clean that will eventually wash her, like there's almost a dark film that comes away. It sticks to things. It protrudes out from the corners and the spaces there. And it's not like anything you've ever encountered before.
I look forward to learning that trick.
After a few days of reasonable, sort of submissive work with Isabella, you learn a little bit about your future. In one of the, we'll just say, tutoring sessions that she gives you, she tells you that there is a meeting that is to be called with the group, some very important group council members. And these council members are going to decide the fate of some rather important people, and that you'll need to be present for it. And that provided you can hold yourself together as a member of the clan, the bishop has given me the authority to give you what you're looking for.
Power?
Power. I don't know about power. I'm not quite sure you understand exactly what power is yet.
Yes, so what am I looking for?
I think you're looking for longevity.
Oh. So that wasn't her, that was me.
I think the longevity is what we're all looking for. Staying power, not just power. So there will be a accounting. And when there is this accounting, you will watch and learn how kindred justice is dealt with. I look forward to seeing how you perform.
Do I get any information ahead of time so I can prepare?
What sort of information would you like? Information is dangerous, of course.
Well, what am I going to be doing?
Standing and watching. She gives you a wide smile.
I can do that.
Are you sure?
Well, I've watched all sorts of things before.
Wonderful.
On the battlefield. Yep, on the battlefield, I've watched people die horrible deaths. I've even helped people move along to the other side.
Oh, yes. Yes. The accounting of what happened inside that house has made it out.
Yeah, why did I do that?
Oh, well, that's simple. You were following orders. Flawed as they were, someone told you to do something, and you did it.
I don't mind following orders, but I want people to follow my orders eventually.
Certainly. All Lasombra wish to rule. You're no different. It's a trait the clan appreciates in you. The want, the lust for power is important. The question is, will you be able to harness it?
I'll do whatever it takes.
Our goals here are one portion of what the clan wants. There are other opportunities for you. They may take you elsewhere. She rises up out of the bath. And as she does so, you see that she's sort of coated in that same shadow. She steps out as if it's a gown. And you watch like it drape down onto the floor. And then it crawls towards you. It peels off of her. Like imagine a banana. The shadows peel off of her and they sort of begin to slowly ease their way towards you.
I'm watching. I'm not scared. I'm just watching.
They work their way up your legs. It's a cold sensation. It's probably colder than you can ever remember being. Even jumping into a cold pond to wash off the vestiges of a battle. You watch the shadows continue to peel their way off of her. She stands, pale-skinned, opulent, bereft of anything, including shadow. As the shadows work their way up your body, and you feel them encase you, almost like a tight-fitting corset. You see little strands of shadow, almost as if they're the threads of a dress begin to weave their way, and you can feel them compress you just a little. You feel your posture forced into like a specific stance. It's a little uncomfortable, but not necessarily unpleasant. You feel inherently stronger draped in this shadow, physically stronger. She walks behind you. You feel her body like press against yours. It's a cold form. And she tilts her head and whispers in your ear and she says, "The shadows will give you the power. You must listen to them when they speak." You can hear it now that she mentions it. You can hear it on your collarbone, on the sides of your body. You hear little whispers, faint, difficult to make out, but there are voices there. You hear her call over your shoulder, "Casilda, come and see. Tell me how she looks." You watch Casilda and her blonde hair sort of arrive. She is a bit of I guess the best way to say it would be she's a bit of an anomaly. Like all the Lasombra that you have encountered so far have had dark hair or white hair, like the bishop. Casilda is the only blonde they have. And she's not just like dishwater. It is bright. It goes against all sorts of different themes here. And she cocks her head and she looks at you and she says, "Are you comfortable?"
I would prefer to be able to move, but I'm not uncomfortable.
She flits her eyes back towards Isabella. I have a feeling my sister is having fun. I'll leave her to it. You get like a playful smack on your butt as Casilda walks out of the room. It's very strange. You feel the dark dress sort of begin to unravel. The shadows recede back into the corners. And Isabella says, "Go and fetch my clothes."
I go and fetch her clothes. I do what I'm told for the most part.
Okay, we'll leave you there for a minute. I have to talk to Emerenzia.
Of course.
So for you, it has not been so many days just yet. For you, it has been it's been maybe a few hours. You are still at the height of the reverie when it comes to being a new you. It's altogether a series of nearly overstimulating sensors that sort of fire off in your direction. Your hearing is so much more accurate. Your eyes are sharper. You can feel everything, except there is a silence within you. Like when you move, when you go and look out over Constantinople and the villa, you don't feel that swell in your chest anymore. You don't feel the intake of air, the need for it. You might genuflect breathing because it is something you think you need to do. And then you go minutes without even thinking about it.
What a bizarre but interesting new set of things to get used to.
Absolutely. The Dhamma does not leave you by any means. She brings you into sort of a personal space for her off of her quarters, which you are very familiar with. And she makes tea, but not necessarily to drink, but because the smell is something that you get to experience fresh and new. The aromatics of the herbs that she's selected are a complete bouquet. And you watch with interest as other ghouls wait outside the door, a position you once did many times while the Dhamma entertained other kindred. You were the one waiting and watching, and now you are in the seat. And so there's this strange juxtaposition.
I will lovingly hear and a treat for my new senses. And just sort of try to get used to the new way that I get to experience the world.
She leans back, almost in a, I guess, a pleased posture. She seems very pleased with her creation. She offers you a very pleasant smile, her mouth still sort of stained with your blood, which she hasn't wiped off or allowed really anyone to wipe off for her. She says, in the coming nights, we will take you to meet some very important members of Clan Toreador. You must be properly prepared and presented to them as a creation, as a new vampire. First impressions are the only ones you will get. Do you understand?
Yes, Dama.
It is also important for you to understand that from this night forward, you begin to build your own legacy as a member of kindred society. There are things which will come to pass that will naturally separate us. But I am not going anywhere. She sort of tries to quell the concern, tries to quell the concern that you're having. I'm not leaving. I'm not going anywhere. But you will have an entirety of your unlife. And there will things that you will simply want to do, art you will wish to create. And this is important to me and to you.
Of course, but even my unlife would be rather incomplete feeling without more art that you've inspired. I'm glad you're not going anywhere.
Even though I hold a certain status amongst the Toreador here, it is important to understand that the clan as a whole is very heavy here. There are many of the clan who come before us. Of course, Michael being the one. But even Michael has an array of other artists. And so there may come a time when you see fit to travel yourself, just as I did. And I would be remiss if I did not introduce you to someone who you will need to meet for another time. Miriam Dubois. Now, Emerenzia knows of Miriam Dubois, if only in passing tale. Member of Clan Toreador, also a child of the Dama, someone who came with her or was a part of her sort of retinue when she came to Constantinople originally. Also someone who supposedly has quite a well, she has sort of a mean streak.
Yeah. it makes sense that I would need to reacquaint myself with your peers and others from the clan as more than just one of your ghouls now.
Truly, truly. You are one of us in a new and different way. And that is very important to the entire clan. For we must create. Now, I would like you to go and find something fun to wear. And we will make preparations for your introduction. She stands up, sort of signaling the meeting is over.
Of course. Let me go fetch my finest and get ready. And I will stand up and venture forth to my room to find the, how should I put this appropriately for Twitch, most Toreador of my outfits.
Yeah, it'll probably take some time to put on, but certainly I'm sure that you'll find a fitting outfit, one that pleases the Dama and also yourself.
I'm sorry, Mike, you cut out there for a
sorry.
second, so I actually didn't hear what you just said, which is why I didn't respond.
No, it's okay. Sorry, I'm having an internet connection thing, obviously. Yeah, so you find an outfit that will please the Dama, but also obviously will please yourself. So you work on your outfit.
Yes, I go work on my outfit and find the most Toreador outfit that isn't naked.
I mean, you have
the second most Toreador
right.
outfit.
Yeah, I was going to say, right, the second most. So, Ophelia, after your time spent reviewing, you begin to pick up on a particular smell that seems to be coming from somewhere inside the villa. It smells like frankincense. It's sort of pungent, fills the air quite well.
I mean, my sire told me to report to his chambers first, so that's where I'm going to be going.
Sure. And as you go, it gets stronger and stronger. You get to his chamber door. It's shut. But you can see that there's like a sort of a low haze that's coming out from the door.
I'll knock on it.
Enter. You hear his resonant voice fill the chamber.
And I'll breathe out like a really heavy breath that I didn't know I was holding before I open the door.
You breathe out. You get a good steadying breath out and then open the chamber. You see that the bedroom, his chambers things have been pushed a little bit in different directions. So the bed, which is normally off to sort of one side, has been pushed back so to make more room. It's almost as if he's made more room in front of the fireplace, which is very low right now. There are two braziers that stand sort of about four or so feet tall off on pedestals. And they're belching out this thick and resonant frankincense. And he's standing in the center. He is wearing a simple loincloth. And his long sort of brown hair down all the way to probably about the end of his pectorals. And you can see the various scars that his body still carries from some of the fighting previously, and then also ones he probably got before he was embraced. And so you get to see the sort of the breadth of his Bruja form. And he motions you to this position on the floor. There's a circle just off where he's standing. And you see on the floor, there is a symbol that's been carved into the stone here. It looks like it's been carved in by hand. And it is this circle. And there are these flourishes that exist around it. You've seen it before, on some older parchment seals that have had this symbol.
I go to where he's pointing as I'm heavily distracted by, the fact that he's not wearing very many clothes.
Certainly. He looks down at you and says, "Do you know who you stand in front of?"
I stand in front of Master Callius Dukas.
And who made me?
I don't know.
You, the player, don't know, but Ophelia knows.
Not out of character.
Yeah. Ophelia knows. Ophelia is aware of it. So what I'm going to ask you to do is I'm going to ask you to make a wits and enigma roll.
Oh, okay.
As your sire is going to ask you to recite his lineage as far as you know it.
Okay. Wow. All right. This is gonna, man. I'm gonna spend a willpower to make sure that I have at least one success.
Sure. That's probably not a bad idea.
All right. Well, I got 3. So.
Okay. You step back in time. The names evoke different eras of the clan. As you recite them, you remember stories handwritten by each one. You walk back once, twice, 3 times, 4 times. And you get to that 5th time. And you lay that name out. And you realize that it's a name you don't even remember uttering. Like when you utter it, your mind can't wrap around what your mouth has said. And he steps forward and he places his hands lovingly on the side of your face. And he walks his thumbs down your chin. You can see his manicure is probably the wrong word, but well-formed fingernails as they sort of trace and etch and scratch is the wrong word, but you get a feeling as if he is checking the firmness of your skin. You can feel how strong he is. You have felt it countless times in your feedings. You have felt it in many different ways. But you feel him take hold of your shoulders and your sides and your biceps. And he seems to knead your flesh. He seems to massage it. And you can feel the blood sort of course around your body. You realize that your blood pressure is raising, your heartbeat is beginning to rise, and you can feel the hammering begin inside you. And then there are two orbs, his eyes, that lock onto yours. And everything in the world fades away. The frankincense, the stones, the chamber, everything. There are simply two eyes. And you catch your breath at the sharpness of his bite. You feel it on the side of your neck. You feel an animal grab you. You're hoisted into the air to make yourself more easy to feed from. You're wrapped in his arms. And you feel the life force begin to pulse out of you. But yet all you see are his eyes. They don't leave you. He takes every ounce of you, which is every ounce you have promised him. Every bit of you that you dedicated to him, he takes. And then there is a coolness that arrives on your back. Your body, bereft of clothes now, lays on the cold stones here. Darkness surrounds the space, except for those eyes, except for those loving and yet primal eyes that watch you. His voice arrives in your ear as a sharp and focused message. The words he speaks stab you with joy. And he says, "They can never take you from me. Nothing can." And then there is a wetness on your mouth. And out of reflex, you react. Your body seizes on it. Because in its coppery taste, you find the breath your body does not know it needs. The eyes fade, but your hunger persists.
And I drink deep and long.
You feed yourself with fire. There is now a burning cauldron in your stomach. You feel generations of rage at what has happened to you through your clan. The blood delivers its rage. And although your heart does not beat, your pulse proves superior. You have never felt more alive in this moment. Your senses do come back to you. Slowly, you find yourself in your master's chambers, covered with crimson. It clings to your skin, under your fingernails. It runs down your chin and collarbone. You're draped in it now. Your sire's blood, your blood. It doesn't much matter. It's all one clan.
Is my master still in the room?
Certainly. Certainly. He stands as a tower of power, watching you, judging your reactions.
I'm unconcerned about the blood. If I had still been human, I would have been very concerned about the amount of blood that's here, but that's not a concern that I carry any further. And when I sit up fully and I stand, I look deeply at my master in his form. And I still go before him and kneel. He is my maker. He has brought new life.
Okay. That's wonderful. I think we'll leave you there for the moment. We have some things to sort out with that character, certainly. Yeah, we are going to get some ads here shortly. So I think it's probably a good time to sort of prepare that. So what I want to do is take a quick break, let the cast take their bios, and say we'll be back probably in about 5 or so minutes. So take care of yourself, and we'll be back shortly with the next part of Stealing Immortality. And hello, we are back. Thanks for sticking with us and through the break. And hopefully, you got yourself a little bit of something to drink, or perhaps you took care of whatever biological needs you might have and did some self care, because that's really what breaks are about, at least for most of us. For members of the undead, they have fewer bodily needs, although some of them now need way more blood than they used to, which is fun for all of us. So I would like to pan back over now to Genevieve, if I can, because she gets a knock at her door. So, time, a little bit of a frame up for you, Morgan, so that way Genevieve understands where she's at. This is post helping Isabella get dressed, and you are likely sort of left to your own devices for a few hours to either wander the bowels of the church or uh, basically perhaps stay within the confines of the cathedral itself.
I mean, I'm sure I would wander to to get a feel for my new home
Mhm.
and maybe map out an escape plan if I ever need to take off for whatever reason. Could be for a multitude of reasons.
That's a great idea.
Yes.
I'd like to see you try to escape. It'd be fun. I'm sure the viewers would enjoy it too. So yeah, we'll say you're wandering the church. So it being nighttime, the church has fewer human visitors than it normally would, but there are gatherings that happen at night. Um, although it appears anyway that the sort of the rear portion of the church is used for a myriad of encounters. I think that's really the best way to say that. You have seen mortals come and go from the church during all hours. You stay up mostly during the night, at least at this point, because you serve whatever Isabella needs you to do. Barring those time frames, you do get to see some mortals arrive at the church. They get, we'll just say, shepherded to areas of the church which are closed off beyond the normal parishioner area. And there are all manner of things that go on in those rooms, it seems. The church probably sounds and smells different than you're used to it. There's an awful lot of that coppery blood smell in the church, especially near the rear. Especially the rear of the church, to be clear, Morgan.
Oh, okay.
But investigating and looking around at the church is, you do so unmolested. No one bothers you. You're free to roam about, although you really don't know how far you can go. You probably haven't tried to leave the church since you've come here. I guess I wonder, given the character's nature and what they prefer to do with their time, what would she do with free time?
Well, seeing as I'm beholden to a new master, I would probably spend some time praying
Okay.
because I'm a religious person. My character is. And so, um, And I would probably try to get to know some of the other Lasombra.
Mhm.
More importantly, some of the ghouls to see who I'm in competition with.
Ah, okay. All right. So, in meeting some of the other ghouls, and there are more than a few of them that are here, ghouls, retainers, etc., who help run the lives of all of these kindred, you meet a couple of Clan Lasombra here. So you meet a woman named Stanya. She's one of a variety of ghouls that are here. You think that she's Greek, maybe? She comes from one of the islands near Athens, not too far away, and she's come here recently. She's fairly easy to talk to. She has a real charming personality, which probably grates at you a little bit. Not that she's nice, like nicey nice, but she's
She
easy.
fake nice.
She's easy to talk to.
Uh-huh.
She's charming. She has very ladylike and feminine ways about her. You're not sure where her edge is, and that's one of the things that makes you wonder, like, why they would pick her. But one of the things that she talks about in passing with you, and she seems to say a couple of times, is this phrase in Latin, which is morte essendo. And after a bit of translation and work with the way she's saying it, what she's saying to you is, in death I rise. And you begin to pick up on the idea that it's actually a pretty common phrase here among Clan Lasombra. And when she says it to you, it doesn't seem like a greeting. It doesn't seem like just a throwaway phrase. It seems like she's making a proclamation, an affirmation almost. Like her goal is to die, because in death she will rise. And that's when you learn that that's where her edge is. Like, she's very willful and determined, and she hides it all behind a nice, pleasant face.
You have a nice, pleasant face. I'm friggin' hot.
I didn't say you weren't.
Okay.
Are you feeling challenged?
A little bit.
Good.
I need some competition. Yeah. I like to be first in everything.
You do. That's true.
I am competitive.
You are.
Maybe in real life.
She asks you, did they just acquire you recently?
Did she say acquire me?
She did say acquire you.
Acquire me? Well, they offered me an opportunity. The bishop himself wanted me.
Did he? Fascinating.
Bitch.
I'm certain that the bishop had his reasons.
Oh, I'm sure we'll find out soon enough.
I've been with the clan about 5 years.
And you haven't been turned yet. What are they waiting for?
Well, I think you'll find that the clan takes its time with many of its recruits. In fact, in many ways, it may be just their way to promise something sooner than they deliver. I'm sure you'll do just fine.
Oh, I'm being honest. I'm intending to do more than just fine. I'm intending to be exceptional.
Oh, you watch her eyes roll back in her head, how bad enough to give herself a concussion. Everyone here is exceptional. Everyone. The clan is full of exceptional people. That's why they're picked.
And what do you do for the bishop? Or your sire?
Oh, well, it depends. It depends on what they ask, and it depends on what their schedule is like. You see, the bishop is a very regimented man. He needs certain things at certain times. Sometimes I fetch the things that he asks for, a particular delicacy here and there, perhaps a person from the market. Perhaps he needs his bones warmed. I do that too. It's it's quite freeing, you know.
I'm sure.
Well, only the best find out.
Hmm. I step closer to her.
Mhm.
And I'm changing my directive, as in how I am approaching this.
Okay. I love this for you. Go on.
And I closer and do you need your bones warmed?
Hmm. She smirks. Perhaps. Although I have heard and seen your handiwork. I was in the house, you know. I watched you from afar. I watched you take that seneschal into his office. Two entered, only one left.
Oh, that just means I'm really that good that he didn't need to experience anything else in this life.
Yes, yes, you were good enough to crack his pelvis, I'm certain. Or perhaps strangle the life out of him?
Well, maybe he just had the magic of my tongue and couldn't take it anymore.
Perhaps. Perhaps we'll get a chance to see how magical your tongue is.
I step away and continue.
You step away. There's a shuffling of people nearby. You feel the presence of the bishop. Like you feel his aura. You watch him walk to the center of the cathedral here and then begin slowly walking down the aisle towards you and clearly towards Danya. She immediately genuflects, of course, bowing as he gets closer. He offers her just a passing nod, nothing more.
I also bow.
He stops. Walk with me, my child.
Mic drop. Boom. Oh, sorry. Take that, Stanya. Okay. Yes, Bishop. Father. What? I don't know what he wants to be fucking called.
Bishop is his title.
Okay. And I walk with him,
Mhm.
not next to him, but just right behind him. So we're still together
Mhm.
because he's earned that, obviously, earned that respect.
Certainly. You walk to another portion of the cathedral here. You don't walk to the back. You walk to more towards the eastern portion of it, where there is a series of steps that go down. These are circular steps. They are tight and they form a column that goes down probably a good 20 or 30 feet. And he walks at a reasonable pace. He doesn't seem to be in any sort of hurry. He calls over his shoulder, "Is Isabella treating you properly?"
She treats me very well. Bishop, I keep wanting to call him Sire.
You
He's
could.
not my sire.
He's not
I
your sire,
could?
but certainly sire is an appropriate title. Yes, he's a person who is of a higher title and respect level than you are. So sire is like you would call a king sire or a noble sire. It's a common phrase for those who are in positions of power. It's actually a respectful term too.
Yes, sire. She treats me very well.
Good.
She let me taste the shadow today.
You get almost the briefest of chuckles from him. It's not even a full laugh. It's just like an acknowledgement of something that might be passingly funny. And he says, "The shadows can teach us much if we listen."
That is what she said. I mean, in less words, but I mean, she said something similar.
I am here to warn you. He leads you into a room. There seems to be a place perhaps where priests would gather. There are spots for clerical vestments in here and tables for reading. There are candles here, and you see the elder form, not elderly, but elder form of the bishop take a seat behind one of the desks. "We must absolve you of your sins if you are to move forward."
My sins?
Yes. You are a mortal still, a member of a body which can pick up and carry many sins, sinful thoughts, like the thoughts you shared with Stanya upstairs.
Wait, I can't have my sinful thoughts. What?
You're going to have to stay out of chat, Morgan. That's what's going to have to happen. That chat will crush you. Focus up.
Okay. Paying attention. I gotta minimize Discord. Thanks, Bunny.
I love it. I love it. You didn't win yet, chat. You haven't broke me yet. Good luck.
Soon. But isn't it natural to feel what we feel. It's what God has given us.
It is. But the perception of how those sins are inflicted is important. He reaches his hand out and sort of extends it across the room. Do you see these piles of stones? These piles of beliefs that man has created? They form a structure, one which we carefully use. I don't know if your belief in God is strong enough to be able to tell the truth with one side of your mouth and lie with another. The church is our shield. It is a shield you will come to use.
I will do whatever is necessary, Sire.
You do have thoughts inside that head, though, right?
Of
You-
course. Ambitions, needs,
Hmm.
wants.
Good. Good. I have plans for you tonight. We will take communion.
We will. Do I have to confess my sins?
You do.
No. What if I don't think I have sins? Because everything I've done in the name of the greater good. When I was serving somebody, when I was in the crusade, serving, I don't know if they called it the crusade back then. When I was,
Yeah.
we just named that shit later. I don't,
No, totally
Sorry.
called the
Sorry,
crusade.
sorry, history people. And stop it. And I did that in the name of God. And maybe because I liked it. But I did it in the name of God.
Do you think God liked it?
He's a wrathful God.
It can be.
Vengeful.
Certainly. That's what the books say. You'll confess your sins, all of them, to me. In private, of course. We will take an accounting. You will confess them. You will write them down. And then, as bishop, I will absolve you of them.
And when does this take place?
In a few hours, I will speak with Isabella. You will be detained for the evening.
I look forward to you absolving me of my sins.
He sort of like sits back a little bit and steeples his fingers. And most of the room goes dark. Like the darkness in here swells and it creeps in on all of your perceptions except him in the chair and then about half his face. And then we're going to cut to Emerenzia. So if you could, and I believe you can because I have faith in you as a player. If you could, Emerenzia, could you explain for the audience what you have put together, what you're wearing, because I think that's important.
Oh my gosh. So running with kind of what chat was saying before, and I was agreeing with subtly, quietly. I think that the move here is less is more
Okay.
of an
Okay.
approach. So I have definitely gone in the direction of like draped fabrics, just sort of belts keeping strategic draping in place. Least layers possible. Uh,
Okay.
so like a long, probably a long red dress, but just the dress and a belt or two to cinch it, and my finest jewelry, and my hair up to keep it from getting wet later, potentially.
That does happen.
It does happen. Happens a lot with her lately, especially. So,
Okay. It is different. Your room is different. The space is different. You see some of the same ghouls, some of the same faces that were around you at the bathtub, who are now giving you space, deference.
mhm.
Some are even asking quietly if you need anything, if you need any help. There's a subtle, respectful, but a subtle, almost groveling to their tone that you're not familiar with. I wonder how you take that.
And I'll probably try to keep my reveling in it as subtle as their groveling is. Um, what a pleasant turn of events. I could get used to this. No, I don't need anything right now or any help. Thank you though. I'll be sure to let you know if I do. Um,
It is alluring, the idea of people, retainers, who you once served with in some regard, now turning to you as a member of kindred society and feeling a need to serve. And the subtle part of that is sort of not knowing where it comes from. Is it something that they're doing out of reflex? Has someone told them to do that? Um, the Dama hosted very few members of the clan here. You don't really remember more than maybe a handful of times that she would allow other vampires in her villa, at least to stay for like extended periods. Having someone over for a matter of social requirement or a political discussion or something like that is, um, I think it's something you've experienced before, but you wonder if long term, if you'll be able to stay here.
oh, I wonder how close I'll be able to stay if I can't stay here itself.
It's a really good
Oh,
question.
what what mixed emotions? I know I have a long time to travel and make art, and do things separate from her, she was saying. But I don't want to have to leave.
Mhm.
Wonder if there are any villas near here available. Maybe we could be neighbors.
Maybe. The Dama does
Hmm.
live in a prestigious district, and you
And
can't
I'm not
imagine that
wealthy.
it's cheap here.
No. Oh, dear.
But those thoughts do spirit your feet closer to the Dama, because now you're dressed, and now you're ready. You think
Mhm.
you don't know where you're going, but you know you're going somewhere with her, and that idea is sort of intoxicating. Upon arrival, you realize
Mhm.
something, and that is that the Dama is dressed and cleaned. Although what she's wearing is something you've really only seen her wear a few times. It's one of her like more Italian fair dresses. It's probably one of the dresses that you saw her in some of your first nights with her. So it is a little bit more provocative than Constantinople would likely appreciate, given the religious nature of the location. You also come to the realization in that same moment that you did not help her get dressed. That is something you would normally do.
Oh, that is weird.
Yeah.
Oh.
One of her retainers takes a rather thick cloak and drapes it over her, which sort of conceals some of the curves and pale skin that she's showing through the dress she's wearing. It momentarily gives her a bit more of a conservative look.
Well, don't you look ravishing?
She nods. She attaches and fastens the clasp at the neckline, and her middle finger and thumb come together, issuing a very sharp snap. A playful look dances across her face. Let's see what you're wearing.
And put out my arms and do a slow little turn for her.
Delicious.
Acceptable?
Indeed.
Mm.
I think it will go over very well. Although we'll certainly make a few people jealous, and I like that too.
As do I.
Hmm.
I will reach to kiss her hand if she'll let me.
She does. She does.
Excellent.
You feel a renewed sense of safety, belonging, connection. It's you realize still how important it is to your person to be close to her. And she says, I have a conveyance that would bring us to where we need to go.
Excellent.
We must travel in style.
Is there any other way for us to travel?
Well, we have traveled many different methods and ways in our years, but this is an important meeting, and so we must arrive as if we are as important as we truly appear to be. She smiles like a really toothy grin. You can tell that her mood is continuing to brighten.
Good.
Outside, there is a carriage that awaits. It's drawn by a couple of horses, and some of her retainers assist you and her getting inside. Again, this is a situation that is a little strange for you. Normally you'd be on their end, but now you're not. You're inside this covered, I won't say it's a covered wagon, but it's not the full on, Elizabethan carriage or whatever, because those are several hundred years in the future, but it is a nice conveyance, draped silks. There's the appearance of, we'll just say human food and wine here to keep up perceptions.
Of course.
And the horses draw you to a different location, towards the hippodrome. And I will leave you in motion. Ophelia. Your master and creator spends time with you on the floor. You can still sort of feel his body close to yours. That feeling, that connection, the feeling in your blood is like nothing you've felt before. There's a ferocity, an intensity that exists within you now. It's like a bottled demon. And when you think about it too much or focus on it, you feel like you'd like to stand up and pulverize some stone. It's tough to get a handle on. It makes you wonder how your master does it.
Is it always like this?
To what do you refer? He furrows his brow.
The urge to obliterate?
The first nights you spend as Bruja are a trial by fire. Our blood is tinged with a fierceness that other clans simply cannot contain. Even members of our own clan have sometimes a hard first few nights chaining this beast. I have spent the better part of my unlife learning what it means and learning how to chain it. These are lessons you must learn. Discipline. When rage takes us, it can be detrimental to everything and everyone around us. You must learn control.
I have no doubt. It is just more than what I expected.
Of course it is. It is a gift. It is a step up on the food chain where you might have once been preyed upon by man or beast. You are more powerful than both now. You will take from others. That is the curse. You will feed, you will must. You will take hold of others for my blood can no longer sate your hunger.
Does this mean that things have changed? irrevocably so between us?
No, not in the way you believe. For countless weeks, you have come to me. You have fed from me. You have taken a glimpse of that power. I have shared it now with you fully. And because I have shared it with you, you must now act and find your own blood to feed on. Our bond will remain for a period of time. We can choose to continue it, to keep it strong over time. But in many instances, children do allow the bond to fade and wane. It does not mean that love fades with it, for there are downsides to this coin as well. If I were endangered, you would feel drawn to me irrevocably. There are magicians, workers of foul incantations who can link people between their bloods. They could take advantage of this and gain political leverage over me. Things will change, but that is the life we lead. Truly, part of the problem this city has is that things have not changed. We are those agents. We will bring the change. This is a wondrous time for you. You focus on that.
Yes. Because for the last few years of my life, I've put you first and foremost.
As is right. I am your sire.
Yes.
That does not change, child.
Good.
I did not have many years with my sire. He saw fit to send me on many different quests for knowledge. He will go on some of these as well. But I will never be far. You will always feel my presence. He
Good.
stands up.
That's important.
He offers you a hand to stand up with him.
I will.
No. Let us bathe and dress. There is a meeting tonight I wish to make.
Understood.
You bathe with your creator, with your master. It's a wonderful outlet for all of the excess energy you seem to have in your body. Kalias makes sure of it.
Because there is a lot of excess energy.
Yes. You are stronger than you've ever felt. That is made evident by the damage done to the bath while the two of you engage in cleaning up. Afterwards, you dry and dress in fresh clothes, and Callias gathers paperwork and informs you that you are going to head to the Senate to determine what the outcome of the Latin Quarter damage will be. There is a rumor that a sentence will be handed down soon. And parties who were involved will be held accountable. And so you and
I'll
he...
go
ahead.
Yeah, I'll gather my things so that way I can take notes. Slide some parchment and something to write with into my bag.
You and he walk the Latin Quarter, what is left of some of the streets here. You see the damage wrought. It's still pretty significant. There are people rebuilding because everyone needs a place to stay. But it's like walking out of a war zone and into a city that was flushed with life in other quarters. And that is a really jarring experience to go from a quiet place that has been ravaged to a space which is filled with music and lights and people and all sorts of different things. And you walk to a forum, a place you have been before. Along the way, a short, tufted-eared man picks up your trail and begins walking next to your sire. Thomas acknowledges you with a wry smile.
Good evening, Thomas.
He nods and gives you a slight bow. Good evening. I see that many things have changed. He eyes between you and Callias.
For the better.
Huh. For the better. Is that what he sold you? The better.
I didn't have to be sold.
Well, whatever he said about Clan Gangrel is wrong. He has no idea what he's talking about. Don't listen to him. He sort of gestures with a gloved hand. Pretty soon he'll have you running through the Senate and talking about the laws of man are not equal to those of kindred and how things can be improved. It's all a bunch of... It's a waste of time. They will never listen to us. You can see that your master's sort of enjoying the back and forth. He hasn't said anything yet, though.
Well, I will be getting my hands dirty politically from now on. So all opinions are welcome.
Politics. Callias, you didn't. Politics? Why? Your master just raises a very slight hand to regard Thomas. And he says there are many fresh openings which require competent eyes and ears. And she is more than capable. My first and only choice. You see Thomas sort of like put his arms out at his side and go palms up. And, well, if you ask me, and I know you haven't, but if you ask me, I'd much rather be out on the field of battle with a sword out in the middle of God's nowhere, defending this ideal rather than barking back and forth between a bunch of old, decrepit men.
Well, I'm not really battle ready. So I'm not sure that I would be very beneficial to you on a battlefield, Thomas.
Thomas looks at Callias. Did you not give her your blood? Did you substitute something else? Bruja blood is well regarded on the battlefield.
Yes, but I have no practical experience. I'm pretty sure that my master would not be taking kindly to, well, me or you if I, get hurt or killed on my first night as a vampire.
Callias turns to you and just like sort of raises a hand and he says, kindred. Don't use that gutter term. Kindred.
Yes, master.
The three of you walk eventually to get to the hallways that lead to the Senate. And this is sort of where Thomas eventually breaks off. He gives a pat on the back to his friend Callias and nods to you, and then goes to do something probably chivalrous. We'll see him off camera at some point. And you walk into the forum rather than stay outside. For the first time, you walk into the Bruja Lexar forum, and you see that there are like 10 people in here, and you're in the round, so it's auditorium style seating. And you realize just for a moment how intimidating it is to be at the bottom of this and have everybody staring at you. And Callias sort of steps to the side and he turns to you and says, tell them who you are and tell them who made you.
And I can feel every part of me swelling with pride, right? I have been changed for the better. My name is Ophelia Selos. I am of Clan Bruja. My sire is Callias Dukas.
It starts slow, but it happens. The room begins to resound sort of with this sound of pounding as lecterns are hammered with fist blows in an appreciative and welcoming sound. It dies down after a little while. And Callias, with a hand, sort of gestures you to come closer. And he says, now sit and listen. The door is shut to the Senate, and we will pan back over to Genevieve. So, Genevieve, you have been requested to absolve yourself with the bishop. You must absolve yourself of these sins you've committed. You start thinking, do I really want to do this? Do I need to do this? I mean, yes, he's asked, but what is he? You can't imagine what he might want you to absolve yourself of. Sins, he says. Sins in whose eyes? Whose sins are we talking about? You spin on that for a little while. Your sire, your new one, Isabella, does seem to be a little put out that the bishop just decided to take you away for the evening. She's not terribly happy about it, but it doesn't seem like there's much she can do about it. So she's coping, which is essentially painting her face with a glower for the time in between when you're there and when you leave, before you leave. Castilda seems amused at her sister's problematic face.
It is what it is. The bishop needs me. But I don't know what sins. I've only done what has been asked of me. I think it's like Blue's Clues. Yeah, you sit there and you think and think and share.
Wait, hang on a second. Are you the player right here, right now, paralleling between the sins that you've done, including fucking a man to death, with Blue's Clues?
Yes.
Okay. I'm just trying to get on the level here.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I got to do some comparisons.
Gotcha. Okay.
I'm in the chair.
I just want to make sure that we're all on the same page here.
Listen, maybe Steve from Blue's Clues is watching.
No, let's not take shots at Steve. Okay, we don't know him personally.
Steve is great.
No, I like him. I love him. I want him to be a fan.
If he was a fan of the show, I think that we would all pay the proper respect to that.
Certainly.
Yeah.
Certainly.
I'd bow down and.
Well,
right. Anyways, I'm supposed to be bowing to the bishop. All right. Thinking about my sins, the only sin that I can think of that I would need to be absolved of is taking the identity of somebody else and lying to the whole world for the last 3 years about who I really was.
okay. At the appointed time, no one comes to get you. No one says anything. Your body, 1 minute, is sitting and waiting. And you feel this feeling. It's different. It's not like a mental compulsion. You don't feel somebody puppet you. You've been dominated twice now. You know what it feels like. This is subtle. It's like a gentle caress by comparison. You get the feeling that you should probably get up and leave. Someone wants to talk to you. You're sure of it.
Yeah, I get up
Mhm.
and I'm trying to. I let whatever it is that I know that somebody wants to talk to me, guide me.
You get an image in your head of the bishop. You see him at what looks like an altar in the church somewhere. And your feet propel you forward. You turn corners. You walk down passageways and into the crypts beneath the church. You walk through darkened hallways with very little navigational guidelines. You walk through them as if you know where you're going. You find a lone candlelight which guides you into a room. The bishop is standing there behind the altar. The candle sits in the center of that altar. Its wax is dark and red. And he watches you with intent. His gaze is powerful and wise. There is a reverence that his presence exudes. You also realize in that moment that he was likely once on the same track that you are. Accepted by the clan, interested in finding power. And he has realized that vision. He is the voice of the clan here. And so he is in command of 2 score kindred and all of their retainers and all of their ghouls and all their political machinations, all web back to him. And that could be very useful for you.
Yep, I take off my dress.
Okay.
Slide it over my shoulders, because if I am going to bear witness to the if I am
It's okay. You can start
Listen,
over.
I suck at this shit, guys. All right. That's why
You do
we
not.
record.
Just get edited.
Okay. Edit it out. Cut that. I slide my dress off my shoulders and realize that if I'm going to bear witness to God and the bishop and be absolved of my sins, I'm going to do it as I came into this world, naked
Certainly.
and free. Ish.
Yeah, that makes sense. You shrug off the dress. It falls to your feet, sort of collects around your ankles. You push the fabric away and you present yourself to him, as you said, as you were brought into the world. From his side of the altar, he brings up a thick tome and he places it on the table. He opens it, and it sort of creaks as he opens it to about 2/3 the way through the book. You see some blank pages adorn the space. The light from that candle gives you just enough light to see what's going on. And he walks around the side of the altar towards you. He approaches just along the side of your body, your right side. And he puts a hand on the small of your back. Now, Genevieve, you are going to confess and rid yourself of the things you have done. He gently eases you backward, just about a step or so. And then he points to the ground. Kneel.
Not even looking at him. I just do as he says, wordlessly.
He produces a quill and an inkwell. He sets the quill on the edge of the altar. You hear his voice echo around the room a little. He says, we are aware of some of the things that you have done. But tonight, you are going to rid yourself of all of them. You hear something hit the floor. It's light. It's not heavy. And you feel strands of leather run across your ankles. We're going to see how focused you are. For sins require penance. Now write.
Do I get to write first, and then he whips me with the scales?
You're not sure
Or
how
whatever
this goes.
This is new. I haven't done this before.
Right. This is a sort of like a new thing. I haven't done this before. I need help.
Mhm. Yeah. I need a book for this. Somebody like step 1 through 10.
I'm certain there's a manual, yes.
Yeah.
Somewhere. It's probably in the Dama's possession, but that's
It
neither here nor
is.
there.
Yeah, I take the quill and the parchment
Mhm.
and I begin to write. I write. Well, the sin that I know that is the biggest is that I took the identity of somebody who wasn't me.
Yeah.
It was in an effort to save myself, but I still did it. And Genevieve Lamon Genevieve Lamonfort um is not who I am. I'm really Maria LeBlanc.
Mm-hmm.
And for that, I've been lying to everybody I care about, everybody I've interacted with for the last 3 years or so. And all in an effort to not get recaptured again.
Mm-hmm. The first crack of that scourge comes down on your backside. It is enlightening in some ways. You, in all of your time with Antonio, were never castigated. I think that's the best way to say it. After your senses come back to you, just a moment later, you can hear the bishop's voice in the room say, "Continue. Keep writing."
Continue. Yeah. I was like, no. I take the quill and write. I killed dozens of people on the battlefield, all in the name of the person that had taken me. I
So,
became his weapon. Oh, go ahead.
no, go ahead. Yeah, you're fine. Go ahead.
And I didn't want to have to kill all those people, but I started to love harming those people.
You get castigated harder. So I'm going to have Morgan, the player, roll willpower for her character because I'd like to know if you can continue. So it's roll willpower, difficulty is 6. I'm going to right now put this at 2 successes required. And you can't spend willpower on willpower rolls.
Do I get? I used the willpower last game. Is that still gone?
No, I think it's there. I'm
Okay.
fine with giving it back to you.
Okay. You are a kind and gracious storyteller.
Keep telling yourself that.
I know. I get 6 successes.
Okay.
Means I like it. Hit me more.
I'm gonna leave that up to you, the player. We don't kink shame on this show, so if
No,
that's
we
something
don't.
you choose to enjoy, then that's perfectly fine. I'm certain the audience would like to know.
Yeah.
But you take it for hours. The bishop is a master at hitting you hard enough to get what he wants without damaging you. It is a long play between you and he to get every ounce of sin on the page. you repent for as much as you can. You repent things that you don't remember doing. And you do so for one reason. You want him to continue. You want him to use you, because that means you're getting his attention. And that means someone else isn't.
Chick out in Stanya.
After a time, you can't write anymore. There isn't anything in your brain other than this just complete concoction of pain and pleasure that all of your body has been used. Different portions of it bear these marks. The bishop, for his, for him, there doesn't seem to have been any wane in his strength. He has been able to slightly increase and slightly decrease as necessary. He closes the book and he takes the pen from you. And he offers you the opportunity to come to your feet.
Like with his hand, he offers me.
No.
Oh.
No.
Like, there's no helping here. Okay.
No.
I get up. I feel the welts starting down my back.
God, yeah.
Or actually, they're already there if we've been doing this for hours.
Yeah.
And the pain feels good.
Mm-hmm.
And it helps me. The pain reminds me that I'm here and I'm alive now. But, and that no matter what pain I take, serving the bishop and Isabella and rising to the top is what I'm truly meant to do. It's like almost euphoric, like having gone through this process.
Mm-hmm. Oh, absolutely. It's transformative, really, for you in a ton of different ways. After rising to your feet, you feel that coldness again, the shadows. They encircle your legs around into your torso. And you feel him draw closer to you. And you feel yourself leave the floor a little, as if you're being brought off the ground. It's an intense and immediate rise from the ground. And you are moved by these shadows, which grab onto your limbs to steady you. You see him in front of you then. Your back is suddenly to the altar. You're planted on the altar. And he says, I absolve you of your sins. You may serve now. And we'll fade to black on that scene for the moment. Emerenzia, you arrive at a villa in the Palace District. There are beautiful curtains and rows of flowers here that bloom at night. The scents that greet you as you arrive are some of the most pleasant that you've smelled in your short kindred life. You are helped out of the carriage by retainers, the Dama's retainers, and you and her walk together to the front door, where you are greeted by another series of retainers in house clothes. So basically, tunics and covering gowns. They give you all due deference. And for the most part, actually, the Dama sort of just like walks by them. She doesn't give them the time of day.
Okay. I will follow suit, even though it feels weird to not pay them more mind.
It does. It does feel weird. You begin to get a gauge, a different perspective on the Dama as she moves through some of these spaces, where you can tell there are certainly both kind and ghoul here. You realize that she's very purposeful as she's walking through, until she comes across somebody at the end of one of these villa hallways. And you see someone you've seen before. And that is Maria Balsaminia, the Toreador who is sort of holding court in the villa of Epirus and helping fill the pool with blood. And to say that she's shocked to see you would be an understatement. There is no pantomime to her face. She's sort of in a moment when seeing you, mouth agape, like, "Oh, you're here." And so the Dama approaches with you, and she smiles, this sort of viper's grin at Maria, and says, "We're here on official business of presentation. Is your sire prepared?" Maria sort of like quickly puts herself back together socially and says, of course, we would be happy to receive you if you would just give me a few moments to ensure that everything is prepared. I was interested to hear how Epirus's villa managed during the strife. The Dama sort of just doesn't ignore it. She sort of defers the question to you.
Oh, yes, it was an interesting affair that evening.
Wonderful. We'll be right with you. Maria takes and leaves you there near the this portion of the villa here in this house, which is sort of like a half pool and half interior garden. There's a large overhead opening, very common in villas there to have openings for fresh air. The night air is very soothing, and you see that there are some fireflies and other nighttime insectoids that are enjoying some of the flora that is available. And she says, "Do you understand where we are?"
Does Emerenzia understand where she is? Contextually?
Quite honestly, probably in specific, no. But you would understand that you're likely someplace pretty important. Like the works of art in here are masterpieces. The statuary, uh, the sculptures that are here, the relief work that's been done, the mosaics on the floor, like all this stuff in here is palace level artwork. And this isn't even like the main palace. This is just in the district. You assume that you're somewhere very, very, very important.
That makes sense. I wasn't sure if this was some form of check that she should make of if she should know this or
Oh yeah.
if this is just a given.
Yeah. Do you have any kindred society type skills, politics, etc.?
Mhm.
I would be happy to give you a roll on that.
Okay. Would politics be the most accurate to what you're looking for then?
Unless you have kindred lore. No. Yeah, politics is probably as close as you're going to get to it.
Okay.
Do you have status as a background? Probably not yet. No.
No.
Yeah. Okay. So I will give you a politics roll based on a couple of factors here, and I'll adjust based on the status of the person that you're visiting.
Okay. That is one success.
You think that you're in one of the more affluent, probably one of the more powerful Toreador houses that are here. When you're to be presented to someone, generally, even in some social gatherings that you've been to, usually that's a sort of head of state or something like that.
Mm.
But you're not exactly sure who lives here. And then you feel like you should know.
Mm. Donna?
Mm-hmm.
Hi? Whose house is that?
She
I'm
smiles.
going to try to say as quietly as possible, knowing that everyone here has fantastic hearing.
She smiles and sort of steps a little closer towards you. She curls her index finger around yours and then sort of gently rubs the inside of your palm. My dear, we are in the house of Pedrimus. He is my sire's grandsire.
Oh.
He is an exceedingly influential member of our clan and the highest member which I could present you to, as Michael is busy with matters of state.
Oh, I see. So no pressure. Got it. Thank you.
Of course. He is a muse for the city. It is some of his work that I first studied to take up mine. I'm certain he will be pleasant.
Cannot wait to make his acquaintance then.
For lack of a better term, a fop walks into the room.
Oh, okay.
You see someone you think is like a court jester. So they're dressed in a loincloth that has bells attached to it, mostly on the butt. And they're painted with swirls and images. And they have a strange hat on. And they jingle their way over. And then they stop in front of the both of you and bow graciously. Good evening, ladies. It's my understanding that you're guests. Are you staying long?
I am not used to not deferring to the Dama yet. I'm still going to defer to her for now and watch her interact.
Certainly. She waits for just a moment and then regards this somewhat comical looking man. And she says, we are here to make our acquaintances official, to regard our new child, the newest member of the clan. She reaches up and like caresses your cheek lovingly. The man takes his funny hat off, and you see that he has a bird on his head. We are pleased to meet your acquaintance, the bird squawks.
I'm quite pleased to meet both of yours as well.
Wonderful. I am I'm being retained, of course, by the master of the house here. He was very interested, and I thought that it would be interesting to present a different visage every night. And so this is my visage tonight. My name is Andreas.
Well, thank you for the welcome, Andreas. Are you not going to introduce your companion? I will gesture to the bird.
Oh, of course. He takes the bird off of his head. This is Harold. He pets the bird very carefully. It looks like a mourning dove.
May I? I reach to also pet the bird.
Certainly.
It is nice to meet you, Harold.
Harold looks at you. And you see that like Harold's eyes are red. And you see the bird sort of regard you a couple of different times. And then it squawks.
That is about what I'd expect from meeting a bird. Yeah. Very polite bird, honestly.
It runs back up and gets on his head, and he puts the hat back on. Harold is, he's afraid of open spaces. He needs protection, much like many of the lessers of this city do. Protection.
A little sad to be something what can fly, but afraid of open spaces such as the sky.
Maria walks back into the room. Her outfit hasn't changed per se, but you can tell that like she's adjusted all of her clothing. She looks a little bit more put together now. He is ready to receive you. She turns and walks back towards the deeper portion of the villa. The Dama follows her. Almost without a moment's really a moment's notice. She's prepared as soon as Maria turns her heel.
And I guess I must be as well. So I will just follow along.
Yep.
Doing the best I can to perform the same amount of confidence that she has, since I definitely do not have it right now.
You walk to near the end of the villa, and you get walked right up to a long, thick red curtain, which Maria reaches and pulls aside. And you see the outdoor space, the garden area, with a pool. And the Dama walks into it. This is where you see her socially change her tact a little bit. You watch as she paces forward, she walks forward, and within 2 or 3 steps, her body language has softened. She becomes something a little socially different than you're used to seeing. And she walks to a man, probably in his apparent age is probably his late 40s or maybe early 50s, who is draped in a wine-stained tunic, simple sandals, and is surrounded by different colored paints that sort of arrange in an array. So imagine like a really big wet paint tray that has like 15 colors in it.
Sure.
And the table beside him is filled with brushes, all different colors. And he seems to be painstakingly just taking his time painting glass. And as he sees you approach, he stands up, and the Dama she stops and offers him a very deep bow with like her hands over her heart. And she says, "Sire, I graciously present to you my child, Emerenzia." And there's this pause, and no one says anything.
Emerenzia will probably Emerenzia will have to take a moment to sort of swallow the incredible amount of pride that she's experiencing right now. And then we'll bow a little bit deeper than the Dom did, but follow a similar suit, as she would be the best example of the correct etiquette right now. And etiquette is so important to Emerenzia. And she'll say, "It is a pleasure to meet you. My name is Emerenzia, child of the Dama." And panic a little bit.
This man steps forward, and he regards your sire a little strangely. You've really never seen anyone look at her like this. He looks puzzled. He looks almost concerned. I think it borders on incredulous. And he reaches out and again does something you have not seen someone do without her permission. He puts his hand on her, like on her shoulder. And he says, "My sweet child, who gave you permission to create anyone?" And panic arrives on your sire's face. And she somewhat affectionately and reverently just takes her hand and places it on his fingers. And she says, my lord, I was given allowance and lease years ago. It was decided years ago that this would be allowed. I have been training and raising her for years. And she has finally shown that she is exactly what this clan needs. You cannot take this from me. You hear her. You hear the woman you love. You hear desperation in her voice. He takes his hand from her shoulder and turns to walk towards the pool. You hear him say over his shoulder, "I know of no such allowance. We are overrun with kindred who choose to make children without leave. Who gave you this allowance? Where is it written? Show it to me." You see your sire move into the folds of her robe and withdraw a sheaf of paper rolled up. She turns to you and with a deep and connecting fear says, "Whatever you do, do not speak." She turns back to this man and she says, "My lord, here, our angel gave me the right to create. It is here, it is in his hand." When she says angel, she utters that word, he turns immediately on heel and stalks back over to her and violently rips the sheaf of paper out of her hand. And you see him unfurl this not very long scroll at all. You can't really see what the words say, but you watch as his eyes read over each line. It gives you leave to create, but she must show her proper preparation first. The Dama nods immediately, quickly, desperate to be acknowledged and submissive enough to what he wants. It is wholly and completely out of character for her at all. You have never seen her grovel. It's stomach wrenching. She will do anything you ask, sire, anything. She is talented beyond her years. He stalks back over to the chair and he takes the big dish of wet paints and he tips it over and lets those paints run on the stones and says, "Very well. Perform for me." He sits down in the chair.
Panic is ensuing inside of Emerenzia this entire time. Also, the last thing I was told was basically, for the love of God, don't speak. So there's a conflicted feeling in me of my last order from her, though more of a plea than an order, was don't speak, and now I'm sought to perform for him. Fuck. I will look to her and like give an unsure nod while reaching for my heart.
Okay. She nods in approval.
Okay. Well, then I guess I'm going to perform one of the songs that I wrote about her for him. What for this heart performance would I perform with charisma? Am I performing with dexterity? What is?
I think you're probably.
How do you want me to do
You're
this?
performing with charisma, I would think.
Okay.
You're trying to have as impressive a performance as you possibly can.
All right.
So.
I do get to re-roll 10s on this, right?
provided you have a specialization. I know that you have, I know that your performance roll is high enough to carry one, so yes.
Eight.
That is quite a bit. You play. And it doesn't take terribly long to realize that you are existing within the moment here. You are utilizing a fluidity that they're not familiar with. You have performed this song in your head countless times. You have performed it in probably in portions for the Dhamma before. You have performed it likely during moments of deep and rapturous love and probably lust at the same time, as passion is what moves Clan Toreador. It's
Oh yeah, it does.
part of that which comes alive here. The blood, being a member of the clan, not just in name, but in deed now. You play and play. You lose yourself. You lose the villa. You lose him and her. And you play for the ability to exist as she has created you. And when you finish, you are standing in front of him. Your feet are covered in paint, and the villa pool steps are bespeckled with your footprints all over them. And a acknowledgement of appreciation is stretched across his face. And you hear him in your head say, "Come and sit with me, child."
I'll go sit by him.
The Dhamma is close by as well. Our Creator, the Archangel, has put strict limitations on those who are allowed to become kindred. Your sire obtained an accordance, an agreement, which was outside of my knowledge. A very dangerous thing indeed. We are to be consulted on any members of the clan before they enter it. I will deal with your sire in that matter separately. But tonight, I will allow you to exist.
Thank you, Sire.
I expect to hear performances like that regularly. There are social events here that I think you could be quite stunning at.
I'd be happy to perform whenever desired to.
Good. Now, you may attend and discuss things with Maria. Addie and I need to have a chat. You've never heard your sire's first name shortened like that.
I can't help but think internally just how fucking cute that is, and how much I wonder if she likes it, if it's somebody other than him saying it, or if she absolutely hates it, and how I cannot wait to find out now that we're more teachers than before.
Ooh, fun.
But I will give her a hopeful glance and then get out of the way, because I don't think this is a man who likes to tell somebody to do something twice. So.
Probably not. She can't sweat. It's not possible for the Dama to sweat, physiologically speaking. If she could.
I know, I've tried to make her before.
Indeed, you have. If she could, though, she would be sweating. And I think that's a wonderful moment to end on. So I want to thank all of you for watching, and those of you in chat who have been adding to our fun. It is appreciated as always. I want to give my cast the chance to talk about what they do, maybe outside of stream, for the show and for otherwise. We can just go back to regular introduction orders. Plug whatever you have is perfectly fine with me. Or if there are any causes or things that are near and dear to your heart that you want to do as well, I'm happy to give you time to do that. So please begin if you would, Morgan.
I wish we knew this ahead of time. And I could have prepared something and written something down.
Life is full of surprises.
And you just never. I'm a planner. Hi, I'm Morgan, and I have played Genevieve or Maria. You can call me whatever. And our pronouns are she, her, and I'm an Old Ways podcast cast member. Long time, first time listener, long time. Are you telling me to hurry up? Don't tell me to hurry up.
I'm not
No,
talking
we're
I
golf
was
Oh, we're
clapping.
clapping.
It's fine.
I was
It's
golf
fine.
clapping.
I've been on the Old Ways podcast for 5 years.
Mhm.
It's a long time. I've known Mike for quite a bit longer.
Just a bit, yeah.
And yeah, so I really enjoy doing the stream. I really love playing Genevieve. Yeah, I am an I don't know what I'm supposed to. I don't know what I'm supposed
It's okay.
to say.
It's okay. Chaos reigns. That's fine. You did great. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bunny.
Hi, I'm Bunny. I played Emerenzia, or what may be the first of many long nights or the last one ever. Who knows? And it was a blast. Thanks. I am a cast member of the Old Ways, obviously, but also a full-time variety streamer on this same account that I've been moderating chat from. You can find me on Twitch goofing off or doing occultism or whatever, usually at least 4 days a week. I also am a moderator for the Lupus Foundation of America. I just happened to be wearing one of the shirts for one of our charity events. We kicked off Game On to End Lupus season today, actually. Game On to End Lupus is a big fundraiser we do every year, the first weekend of March. Here on Twitch primarily, we use Tiltify. It's really cool. You don't have to be a Twitch streamer to participate or to help with the event. But May is Lupus Awareness Month, and so we kick it off with a big fundraising weekend. This year, we are on track to be the year where our event hits $1 million raised for lupus research. So if you want to be part of a super cool event, you want to be part of helping us hit that $1 million mark finally, you want to just find out what the Lupus Foundation of America does or what they do as the head of the World Lupus Foundation, you just hit me up and let me know, because I can hit you up with all the deets.
Fabulous.
That's
Thank
what
you.
I have to say. Yeah.
And Allie.
Yeah, so I'm Allie. I've been playing Ophelia. I am thrilled that I am embraced, and you can find me over on the Old Ways podcast server. And you can find me on the games that are currently airing for Mage of the Ascension and Delta Green.
Awesome. Okay, so here's what we're going to do now. What we're going to do is we're going to hop off stream and we're going to go record some stuff for the Patreons. We're going to do another Upon Reflection episode. And it's only taken me 5 or so episodes to remember what I named it. That's just how my brain works. So we're going to go reflect, and thank you all and have a wonderful night.